Super, we're live. Look at me, I'm just adjusting lights in my house. Oh, well, in my room. Good evening, everyone, wherever you're joining us from. And welcome to the final Q&A of the August edition of Mayata Screenings. Well, August 2021 edition. My name is Wanjeri Gakuru. I am a member and the Partnerships Director of Rogue Film Society, a collective of African filmmakers. And I'm also a journalist, essayist, and filmmaker. Tonight, I am joined, as you can see, by Hatibu Madudu. Hatibu is, say hi to the people.
Hi.
So Hatibu is a Tanzanian social worker by profession and a filmmaker by ambition, which is a fantastic description of himself. His directorial debut was a short film Sukari, which he wrote and directed to trigger conversation on the first three sustainable development goals through addressing youth economic hardship and the choices they opt to make. Sukari had its world premiere at ZIF in 2018 and was an official selection at several festivals, including Pepashko in 2019 and festivals in Kenya, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Nigeria. Amazing. We're going to get into that social worker and filmmaker. I love that duality. And also later, we hope to be joined by Brian Washira. Brian is a filmmaker from Nairobi. He studied graphics communication and advertising at Moi University and works as a motion graphics specialist at a Nairobi agency. So welcome so much, Hatibu. I'm so happy to be talking to you. You told me that you're currently in Dar, right?
Yes, I'm currently in Dar. Here's where I'm residing, actually. So I'm home.
Super.
Yeah.
So your film, alongside several others, are in a block that we themed KINETIC, and it's part of a series of films that are looking at the effects of our actions through humor, sadness, and sometimes legend. And what's interesting about your film, and Brian as well, is that your films are actually under 5 minutes, like well under 5 minutes, but you manage to convey such powerful messages. So I wonder, like, if this brevity was deliberate or were there other factors at play?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you, because when I saw the theme that my film has been put on, I was like, oh yes, then this shows that it is very powerful.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but so I think to answer your question, so there's a story behind how we reached to make this film, and this film, I wrote a script. The script the title is Uncle. Uncle is a film about a deaf boy. He's age 13 and he faced sexual harassment from the uncle. And I'm expecting to film it sometimes in January next year. So when I shared the script with my co-producer, Stafford Kihore, he went through it and then he came to realize that this first page of the script was very powerful. And he said, wait a minute, Madudu, I think we need to talk about this. I think this first page is very powerful and we can't just let it within this film, because I think you are going to tell or you're going to convey two messages at a time, and I'm not sure that people will get along with them, with them all. So he said, like, I think we need to do something different with this first page. And the idea was because, people who are doing those, what we're saying, evil stuff in the community sometimes are the people who tend to be very, very much respected, and are the people who are doing great things in the society, but they have also their bad side, of what they are doing in the society as well. So I wrote these words to fit the uncle, just to show that, to establish the character, that this is a character who cares a lot, about what is going on in our society, in our politics, you understand, in the decisions that are being made, based in politics, but they affect our life, but also in the other side, he also commits, some things which are not good. So he said, no, I think we need to do something about this page. So we kind of thought about what should we really do, about this just one page of the script. And in the end, we came to, I just needed to have the words pop in the black screen. And I think that's why it's called a black film. But again,
yes, I was interested in that title as well.
Yeah, but again, Bombwe, who was the character played in that film, he has such a very good character which he plays in the comedy series, which is broadcasting here in Tanzania in one of the free-to-air channels. It's called Wasafi TV, and their comedy series is called Jambo na Vijambo. So I wanted to use that character. So I told Bombo for such a long time that I'm going to use your character into this, and he was supposed to have like many beards, but so he kept waiting with the beards, and we couldn't be able to shoot. But unless when we were ready, until when we were ready to shoot, I approached him, and then he was like, "Okay, then yeah." He popped up in the studio. We just made the setup, and we shot. So that is how it happened. And to us, it was experimenting. We said like, okay, let's just do this and experiment and see how it goes. But we made sure like we have to package it with everything that fits for an official film to be presented anywhere in the world, and throw
Yeah.
it out there and see, what will happen. So that was a little background of what happened.
Oh, Yanni, so many questions have just come out of that wonderful introduction to the entire project. But I need to jump off for like 10 seconds because life is lifing. So Hawa is going to come on and ask my next question.
Okay.
Hawa, are you able to join us?
Hello.
Wonderful. I promise I'll be back. All my fans, I'll be back. I just need to drop something very quickly at the door and then I come back. So, Hawa, please ask whatever burning question is in your
No,
heart.
first of all, I just wanted to say that I was really struck by how concise and clear the film is. And I thought that it was just it's very brave to make a film that short and with so concise. So first of all, let me commend you for that.
Thank you,
You
Hawa.
don't get to
Thank
do
you.
anything, Wanjeri. You're back already.
I know. I'm a magician.
Okay, fine. You know what? You ask your questions. Thank you so much again, Hatibu. I'll let you get back
Thank
to
you,
your
Hawa, for
conversation.
having me. Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Super. Cool. So did she ask an interesting question or was she just like fangirling like I'm about to?
No, she didn't ask any questions. I think that was a compliment. So thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about the fact that this is part of a longer project and the fact that somebody saw it and said this is really, really powerful. Because it does feel like we're kind of entering a conversation that's kind of ongoing. And this character is very relaxed and like was almost kind of sitting back and waiting for us to show up and has this really interesting things to say. So how did you what did you do to make it work? Because you said that you had to make it like seem like to be able to work like as a proper film. So what did you insert into that was missing before? Because for me, it feels as much as we're entering a conversation and kind of leaving it very early, it feels like there's a build up, there's a plot, there's something to be learned. We're learning so much about the character and their point of view. So what did you have to do to it to make it like solid, that makes it different from the piece it came from? Oh, you're muted. Oh, yes. Now you're with us.
Hey, Wanjeri, I'm not sure if you hear me. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, because I lost you somewhere. So
sorry. Did you get
maybe
the
if you
question?
come again. No, I didn't get it quite well. Yeah.
Okay, Sawa, no problem. I was saying that you talked about this piece being part of a larger piece and that you kind of, it was page one, you're like, oh, this is exciting and I'm bringing it in. What did you have to do to make it, to kind of give it a structure, a beginning, middle, and end? What was there before and how did you transform it to the thing that we've seen today?
Yeah, I think we had a very long discussion with my co-producer on how should we make this, as a proper film, as you're saying, considering the plots, how do we introduce our character, and and also it's supposed to have the beginning, it's supposed to have the middle, and the end. Yeah. However, we don't consider other stuff like putting drama in it or something. But it was a very long conversation. And I remember we also had a meeting with the actor himself, and trying to also involve him in our conversation, because at first, as I told you, we are thinking of maybe just having as an opening of that big project. It was supposed to be just a blackout, so it's just a black screen, and then you hear these words. So as you are thinking about these words, that is when we reveal our character. And therefore you will connect, and then you will connect to this character in that way,
You're almost like
those
hearing his
perspectives.
thoughts, before you see him.
Yes, you're almost hearing his thought before you see him. But then in the end, now he turns out to be a bad guy. But now, as now we are not working on that long project. Now we have to deliver whatever that we have right now, you can see there are some changes that we decided to make. You understand? Now, for example, having the character just chill in that screen, staring at you, you understand? And then he starts smiling, and then he
Then
starts,
he sings.
singing. You understand? Yeah, so those are the things which were not there at first, but then we had to, insert them, at this particular project, just to introduce this character, so that you can to make people relax at first. First of all, it's like, okay, so here he is, he's staring at us. What does he want to say? It's just to draw people's attention, audience attention into it. But then also singing is just to make you relax, because what he's about to say, is bang, 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 and then he's done. You understand? So we had that conversation, and I think all that came up. That how we should introduce our character, but also in terms of him delivering the message. I think you could see at some point where he was like his voice kept on raising when he was mentioning the slogans, agriculture slogan that we used to have, also that is
that's what that
trying.
is.
Yeah, it was a build up just to also draw conversation and to trigger, also thinking from our audience. And then at some point he was like hanging a bit, just to give it a breath and trying to make it sink to the audience mind, and then he posed a question. And that question was very purposely, because in our country, I think for the past like 6 years, when we had our late president, there have been, some of the trials to try to make our agriculture adapt to GMO, and he kept on refusing. So by this time now, like, we have the shifting power, now we have a new president. So I say, like, okay, maybe we should pose this question, and maybe it could help us to understand, and to hear maybe from her, what does she think about this issue? Is she going to let GMO come in our country, or is she going to, saying, wait, we don't have to come to have to introduce GMO in our country? And also, I had this question because the world right now is moving to organic. So people right now, they like to consume organic stuff. And also organic stuff, it tend to rise when it comes to the value of it. So I think organic is the way of life which you used to have, and it was available for everyone in the community. But right now, to access organic, you need to you need to have money. So it's not cheap stuff. So it's like flipping the coin. It's like flipping the coin now that you need to have money to consume organic. And therefore, when you don't have enough money, then what you'll consume is something which is already processed. So I was just trying to pose that question, to the audience, and trying to trigger a conversation of let's discuss, let's think about, agriculture, which is a sector which have employed almost 80%, of the citizen in our country. We truly need to think about this.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, thank you so much. And again, everything you said I'm finding so many things that I want to explore. But I believe we're going to be joined by another filmmaker. Hawa, are we ready? Yes? No? Maybe? Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Hello. The man has worn his shirt so that you know that's the same. His name is as sweatshirt. Yegon, can you hear us? Hello. I believe you're muted, Yegon. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Okay, wave if you can hear my voice. Can you hear me? This is just very much of the times. This is how things are. Can you hear me? Can you see me, guys? How's my connection?
I see you. Hi,
Pandemic life.
Yeah, Pandemic Live. Hey, Yegon.
Yeah. Egon, can you hear us? I think he's going to join us when he's ready. Anyway, so I also really like the setup that you used. It's very, very powerful. Oh yeah, sorry, Egon is having technical issues. We're gonna have him join us shortly. But anyway, Hatibu. So the setup is also really interesting. The setup in like what we see, it's a man seated in a chair, one camera, one man, one very hot conversation. And I wonder why. Okay, of course, you've kind of hinted at it that this is what you're trying to achieve, trying to get the audience kind of drawn into the story. But I really felt very much like it was a scene out of The Godfather, and you're like, you're meeting this man, and he's very important. So tell me about like setting up the scene as you did. Why did you set it up as with the half light falling on his face? Yeah, I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, I think about the look of the film, it came out from the original idea that we wanted it to be just a black
Over
screen.
black.
Yeah, and then we thought like, black is very powerful. And if we are going to have words popping and we hear the voice, we are going to draw attention of the people. That is what we thought. And we didn't want to make it very complicated, because we didn't want to make people get busy with other stuffs, and forget to get busy with the message. You understand? So as we were saying, like, no, I think it was not supposed to be just a black screen. Then what you see now is kind of development
Close.
from the
yeah,
from the black screen to having this guy. But again, this has been an inspiration from the PSA, which I did like 2 weeks before I did that film. So we shot that in black and white, and it was really nice. We shot that PSA to make it was a youth sensitization to go out and vote during the election. So we received very good feedback from that PSA. And so we said, okay, I think we can still utilize that technique. And because we had the shoot. Okay, by the way, this is another story. So why
hey,
also
a man of stories.
Man of stories. So during that week, we had a shoot which was going on. So that there was another setup at that particular studio, which we did because I was shooting that with my company. So there was another setup, and then we decided, you know what, we have everything here. We have the studio, we have our equipments here and everything. So why don't we utilize this space, and this time we shoot this, and then we are done. So also it was easy for us to do that, because now, having put everything in black, then we could be able to escape showing the setup which was made from the studio. And then we achieved what we wanted to achieve. Yeah. So I think everything kept folding. As I'm saying, we were experimenting, and thanks God that things were unfolding themselves in that way.
Yeah, and really, honestly, like, it's very, very powerful. I really enjoyed watching it. I was like, when it started, I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. And I was like, very striking, very, very striking. And the fact that, like I said, it was just under 3 minutes, but it achieved so much. I wonder, even even like it's mentioned in your bio, like the first film that you made was about a very complicated, very, technical thing, the sustainability goals, and this one kind of falls in that same place. So how are you able to kind of transform these very dense topics into something that's much easier to enjoy? Oh, you're gone. Okay, wave if you can hear me. Fantastic. Yes. Thank you for joining us. So, Hatib, if you don't mind, I'm going to hold that question, ask you again, so that I can invite Yegon to the conversation. All right. So, Yegon is actually part of the Tishala. Let me see. Let me get that title correct. Tishala, Nothing to Lose, right? I think you are the writer. Wonderful. So, because you are an unexpected guest, we allow you to introduce yourself, if you don't mind. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh, we can't hear you. We can see you wonderfully, but we cannot hear you. We can read lips, but not that well. Do you have earphones by any chance? Oh no, this is extremely sad because we can see you very clearly, but the sound that's coming through for me is just static. Hatibu, can you hear him?
No, I can't. I
Yeah.
can't
Oh, it's
hear
so
him.
unfortunate. All right, what do we do, Hawa? Can you hear us, Yegon? You can hear myself. You could hear Hatibu before. It's very strange. Maybe check the microphone, like what it's using for your output. If it's your phone or your laptop, check if it's selected. Like there's something about like permissions that this app asks of you. No, we can hear you. Okay. All right. So I think we just continue until we can figure out Yegon. We do have some time at least, so I'm confident that you'll be able to join us a little bit later. I'll leave it to Howard to sort that out. She's our champion in all things IT. All right. So what was I asking you? Let me see. Oh yes, this ability to take these really dense topics and just find exciting ways to present them. Where does that come from? Your social worker side?
Yeah, I think so because, as I'm saying, my background is I'm a social worker by profession, but I've been practicing media for like 15 years right now.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
my experience is more on the behavior change kind of content, awareness creation kind of content, and also reality TV shows. Yeah,
Ah,
so
every time you
I've
answer,
been
I'm like, okay, I want to ask you so many more questions. Continue.
yeah, so I have been okay. Sorry. There's kind of interruption here.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Yes. So
Uh-huh.
my purpose was to use media for social impact. That is what I want to do. So in everything that I have been doing for those past like 14, 15 years, it's media, but it needs to have a social impact out of it. And therefore, whenever like I see, because I even wrote a series which was like 30 episodes. It aired
Ah.
on one of the pay TV sometimes in 2020. And again, all those 30 episodes, it was a comedy, and people had fun. But in the end, they had to learn something which can change something in the society. You understand? So I think it takes a lot of work to try to convey a message that you need to trigger conversation, or you need to create or to bring changes into the society by using these kind of formats. And therefore I have been always, for example, for Sukari, it was not a simple process. It took me 6 years to produce Sukari, from the
Wow.
writing, filming, and post production of it. And also, when I wanted to have it launched, I had like kind of hesitation, because also the political situation in our country, it was not that much friendly that you can just talk anything openly.
Really?
So
Yeah.
also I had my reservation, and I had a discussion with myself whether I should let this film go out there or not. So what I would say is, I think this passion, or what should I say? Is it an agenda, or the motive, or the objective behind me, that whatever that I'm doing in media, it has to bring social impact. So I'm trying to take time, creatively, to make sure that whatever that I'm going to produce and broadcast it or give it out there, it is so easy to be understood, so that it achieve that goal that I had it in
Social
mind
change.
when I
Yeah.
creating social change. Yeah.
Ah,
So
wonderful.
yeah yeah yes.
Okay, so by some miracle, I told you guys Hawa is amazing. We have Yegon back. We even have his true names. He's called Emmanuel Yegon, and he's going to introduce himself to us.
Yeah. Sorry for
Awesome. We
the
can hear you.
technical challenge. Can you hear me
It's
now?
okay. Yes, it's a pandemic. It's a paronama. Paro? Yeah, all those funny words. Yes. So please tell us about yourself.
Okay, my name is Yegon Emmanuel. I'm a storyteller. I am a journalist by training. The co-founder and communications director at Mobile Journalism Africa, where also we tell stories. But most importantly, and related to the film Tishala, I sort of like wrote the script and the screenplay for the animated film Tishala that was directed by my colleague Brian Oshira, and together with the team, we sort of like produced the film that is Tishala, Nothing to Lose. That is basically part of our contribution to the conversation on ending female genital mutilation in the communities that still practice it in Kenya and across the world.
Well, you've already touched on kind of what my first question was going to be. Why this topic? Why was this important to you? I know the statistics are quite sobering, that 200 million women have experiences and 3 million more might, are rather at risk of experiencing it. Why this particular topic?
This particular topic because as a storyteller, I have done several stories that have run on yegonimanuel.com, stories from different communities around the country. I've done stories from Senegal, I've done stories from the Gambia, done stories from Nigeria. Around this topic of female genital mutilation, I've done stories specifically from the Pokot community here in Kenya, and I have seen firsthand the effects of this cultural practice, and I think that it has on young girls and women, and it got to the point where we thought that apart from the usual video stories that we do, why not do a universal piece, animated, try to do something different to sort of try and keep pushing that same message on the need to end female genital mutilation, and then spread it around, share it around for people to get that message, because the plight of that one girl whom we called Tishala is the same across for the communities that practice it. You're saying?
You're back now. So I just this is the tail end. Yeah, just the tail end. When you're talking about now that you've done this work in different ways before, and now you want to do animation and see what kind of impact it will have.
Oh yeah. So I was saying that the things that face the girl Tishala, whom is our main character in the film, is just like the same thing that most girls from the communities that practice female genital mutilation go through. So that's why we decided to put this out in form of a film, and just not just any normal film, but animated it for that fact, because of the visual appeal and also the strength that is in the script for that purpose.
Yeah, and actually it's quite interesting that you felt that animation would give you much more flexibility, because I would imagine that there are things that were quite difficult to illustrate because you have to tell them in the story. Somehow, when you're doing a documentary, you can have voiceover of something very difficult with something that is either like symbolic or beautiful or like a contrast in some way. So what is it with animation what did it allow you to do in telling this story that you couldn't do with a regular documentary or any other method?
Well, like you have mentioned, Wanjeri, there are a lot of things that you would need to put into consideration if you are to do a normal video. You have to blur faces, you'll have to get a lot of consent to be able to film and just allow the faces of these people, the actual people who've been affected by female genital mutilation, before you put their faces out because of the issues of trauma. So it sort of was a little bit easier to do that with fictional characters, but people who really because we are basing these from real life experiences, so we just gave a name, and it was easy to do that with the digital drawings.
And what I'm also really interested in is the fact that you had a very, very young girl, and she's kind of very naive, and she's, describing these things that she's seeing. For her, she's going home for a holiday. She's talking about her experience with her grandmother, things that she's seen with other women. She's like, oh, and even to hear that young voice saying, I don't want to die. People, it's a very bad thing, and it kills people, and I don't want to die. So how was it deciding the voice of the character, what the character would know, and what they would progressively say across basically just working on the script? How did you decide this is the character, this is what age they'll be, this is how much they'll know about the situation? Yeah, how did you make those decisions?
Very important question. So, like I told you, I have worked with, what are they called? Like anti-FGM activists from the Pokot community, for instance. And the things that I have been able to see is that, among the older women, it is sort of like a normalized thing. They have lived seeing this happen. They have been part of this practice. So to them, I thought it wouldn't be more relatable if it was the voice of an older woman, because they most of them who are in the rural areas support it. Yeah, they are the ones who even push for it. So I'll tell you, last year in June, I went to some parts of West Pokot, and there were because it was during the pandemic, and students were at home, they weren't at school. So a lot of them underwent the cut, and I remember in one of the cases where the security apparatus went to sort of like disrupt a ceremony that was ongoing. There are very many young girls that had already been cut. Yeah, so girls as young as 11 years old, and that's why we decided to give these young girls a voice, because they still have a bright future ahead of them that is about to be robbed by this non-medical practice that has been practiced, that has been done over time, and that is being forced on them. So we thought that the voice of a young girl would bring more impact, and would it would appeal to many people emotionally, and we probably would get that message across, that we really need to end FGM and give these girls a chance at life.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It touched my soul, and I'm like, far away and far removed from the situation. So kudos to you for making that decision. And this goes to both of you, because both of your films have really, as you were talking about it before, social impact. There's a message, there's a drive behind it. I'm curious about where you've shown the work, how it's been received. Maybe we can start with Hatibu, and then we can give some time to relax. Kidogo Yegon. So where have you shown this film, and how has it been received, Hatibu?
Okay.
Yeah, so let Hatibu take, and then you can take a small break, then we'll come to you. Yekon.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I would say like now this Manyata screening at Noella TV is the premiere.
Oh, congratulations!
Of Black film, you understand? So I've never shown it anywhere. I've submitted it to some festivals. So I'm still waiting for the answer whether I should receive official selection or not, and I will not mind, because it is an experiment to me. And also I would like to thank Manyata screening for this, because at first I was like, I was skeptical. I wasn't sure of what I'm doing, and what is it going to do, on my career as well as a filmmaker. Because having my first film nominated for FESPACO, is something big, even in our country. Because I think since FESPACO has started in 1960s, we had one film nominated from our country in 1985.
Oh my goodness.
And then we had another one nominated in 2017. And then we had another one, like two of us, nominated in 2019. And that being my first film, I was like, oh, okay, this is something I should not take for granted. So I was very skeptical about this film. But then through this now Manyata screening, I was happy. Since day one, I was watching a lot of experiment film, and I was like, okay, I think, fortunately, eventually, I've come to find my tribe. People who are not worried to break the rules. Let's do whatever that we are doing, in filmmaking, and just get these messages out there. You understand? So this was the premiere I think I didn't tell you guys that, but so yeah, I haven't showed it anywhere, and I think now having submitted to some festival, I'll try to think, of showing it to some places here in Tanzania. I have some screening outlets. Hawa knows them. I think we connected with her sometime, so I'll do that. But this was the first one.
Well, first of all, congratulations. And I completely
Thanks.
agree that manager screenings is a fantastic space for all kinds of films, and see how your film is in conversation with Yekon's film, both being
Yeah.
about social impact and being under 5 minutes. I don't know, that thing like it's still crazy to me how you're able to convey such powerful messaging in such a short period of time. So Yekon, I have the same question.
Okay, so Tishala has thankfully been able to screen in several films. We have submitted Tishala to over 100 film festivals.
Wow.
It has been selected in 82 of them.
Oh, wow.
But
I agree,
just
yeah.
selected but not screened. I mean, selected but not won an award. But
Okay.
this year it won an award. It was among the top 3 in the Generation Equality Women Film Festival in Mexico. Generation Equality Film Festival is by UN Women, and so we were among the three films that won an award in that. And now it has screened at Manyata. And we are hoping to continue screening it. It is also up on my YouTube channel. So we keep sharing this because really the purpose is to create social impact, create some sort of change, so that we preserve the future for these young girls.
And how has it been received from the audiences, or from? I'm sure you've shown it outside of the regular film going individuals. So how have people received it? What have they said about it?
Actually, you see, the interesting thing about this female genital mutilation is, I don't know if it is a denial, or because a lot of people usually ask that question, like, is this practice still going on? Even in the other stories that we've done, people, sort of like ask, is this thing still happening? And that is really what this film is out here to do, to raise awareness, tell people that, while in your communities this might not be something that is still being done, there are still girls out here whose lives are put in danger because of a practice that is not beneficial at all. But really, it has, among the people who have done films, people have applauded the work that has been done. And in fact, we are even going on to other topics like mental health to try and also build films around those ones as well.
Well, we have a question from the audience, which is for you, Yegon. The question is, when was this? Where was this film produced? Was it made for a particular client? And well, we already asked that one. Where else has it shown? So, where was it produced, and was it produced for a client?
So no, it was not produced for a client. It was just produced here in Kenya. In fact, we've worked on it for quite some time. Yeah. Before 2020, I'd say we started thinking about it in 2019, the beginning of 2019, and just trying to build up, to storyboard, and just bring up the team together that is going to do it. It took us quite a while. But we didn't do it for a client. Like I said, having done these stories across the different communities, I wrote the script, and then Brian and the rest of the team are my colleagues. So we decided, can we come together, do this film, do it, animate it, because we had done the other formats of telling these stories before. So it wasn't done for a client. It is just something that we did
of your own imagination
in Kenya.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. I mean, it's good to know that the topic moved you so much to be like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to spend money and create it. Because I know animation is quite expensive, and you had a 3-member team. So kudos to you for making it happen. And congratulations on all the success of this reception around the world. Well, we're almost running out of time, but I feel like I must ask both of you. First of all, I feel like your work, and then you've already touched on this, Yegon, that the pandemic has kind of put it in sharper focus. For you, Hatibu, the idea of agriculture, of sustainability, being impacted by climate change, and now people kind of rethinking what is important for us, where do we get our food from? And for you, Yegon, the girls going home and now being stuck in situations where they are not in control of what's happening and being being forced to undergo FGM. How do you think your films are what is it like the next this question was so clear in my head, but I'm really thinking about the pandemic and your films. I kind of feel like when you did them without this, current context, they were just a commentary on the times, and I feel like the situation has kind of made it even more pressing. So what do you feel like your film, what more can your film do, or what kind of conversations would you hope your film would make in this kind of current context? If my question makes sense. Let's start with Hatibu.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't thought about that really. Yeah, and as I said before, like my focus was this next film of mine, which I am now trying to pitch it and trying to find some funds to produce it in January. So I didn't think about that quite clearly, but I know like the moment that I'm going to like screen it or or broadcast it or let it out there in my country, it is going to trigger a very good conversation because of what we have been going through, as far as agriculture is concerned, and where do we get our food in our country. But also the shift, what is happening right now. We have a political shift right now. We have a new president, and now we need to also all citizens now we need to also understand what is her vision, where is she taking us, and what is her perspective when it comes to agriculture and something like that. So I believe that when I let it out there, I'm sure it's going to bring a very what should I say, constructive and impactful kind of conversation in my country, and something good might come out of it, because we really need to think about this. Agriculture employs about 80% of the citizen in our country, you understand. So it's something which needs to be thought clearly. It's something which deserve like very concrete and constructive decisions from the government side of it, because it has multiplying effects. Yeah, so honestly, I didn't quite clearly thought about that, but
No,
I
but
think
look
I
at
still
you
have time.
answering really well. No. Absolutely. I think what you're saying is very correct. There are things to consider, and maybe there'll be in front of a live audience of or people from Tanzania. This film will spark many important questions. So thank you so much, Hatibu, for sharing it with us.
Thank
But not
you,
about
Wanjeri.
you. Already seeing that you've seen the impact. So maybe you could talk a little bit more about that. Yegon, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yes. I think you were breaking at some point. So this vice, this cultural practice is still going on, and it's even more. There's even more risk now because of the fact that we are in a pandemic. During the holidays, it gets bad. I'll give you an example. So, like in the community that we visited last year, almost 100% of the girls who are, because they were at home, 100% of girls in one location had undergone the cut. See, so all those efforts that had been done to try and sensitize the community on the need to, end this, were reversed. Yeah. So it got to a point where there was the use of force, use of the security forces to go arrest people because it is illegal in Kenya, but it is still being done. So the fact that we are in a pandemic actually exposes girls to this. It exposes them more because whenever they are at home, then they stand a very high chance of undergoing this. And we cannot even start having a conversation right now about the effects that this has on them once they grow up and things like that. It's just a lot. So I am hoping that this film can continue contributing to the conversation, because it's not a new conversation. It's a conversation that has been there for quite some time. And here in Kenya, for instance, the president said that he wants to see an end in FGM in Kenya by 2022, which is a tough one, considering that a lot needs to go, a lot needs to happen, because if we've had a law since 2011 and until now, things are not moving, things are not changing. So it means that we all need to come together with all the resources that we can, with all the methods. So there are those who are in the grassroots engaging the women and the elders and the girls themselves in the communities. So those of us in these spaces, those of us who can do films, those of us in the media industry, that we can all contribute to this conversation and to this campaign towards the end of FGM, then really we will all be working towards saving the lives of many girls and giving them the opportunity to achieve their dreams. So this film is our contribution to that campaign, to that conversation, to end FGM in Kenya and even in other countries, because now we are sharing it out to networks beyond our borders.
Yeah, and actually, that's a wonderful way to end the film. And I'm even thinking back, rather to this conversation, but I'm thinking back to the animation itself and how the characters are really not from a particular place. It's just a scenario that you're given. And I'm sure people watching it in the Gambia and other countries that you've worked in will see themselves, because of me. I was like, oh yeah, I can see a village. I understand it. I understand the relationship between a child and the grandmother. So really kudos to you for making something that crosses borders very easily and touches the heart. So thank you so much, Yegon, and thank you so much, Hatibu. Really, thank you, two of you, for braving the troubles of the internet and life and a Sunday, for making time to talk about your films, to really go deep and to really just share it. So congratulations again to Hatibu for its world premiere, and Yegon for another in your long series of acceptances around the world. So really congratulations to both of you for being filmmakers and doing the work. And big thank you to Hawa and the team at Nyata Screenings, Guatilo, Deborah, I believe, and everybody else behind the scenes making this possible. This has been a really wonderful experience, talking to filmmakers, watching the films in this edition. And so for me, to all of you from RFS, is thank you, good night, and see you next time. Bye. Everybody wave at the camera. Bye.